Welcome to this definitive strategic briefing on dark pools, high-speed traders, AI bandits, and the threat to the global financial system by Scott Patterson. Over the next 12 minutes, we will conduct an exhaustive chapter-by-chapter investigation into the silent takeover of the global financial system by autonomous machines. We will explore how the dream of transparency was replaced by a landscape of hidden liquidity and predatory algorithms. Our analysis is divided into 4 distinct phases: the birth of the machines, their evolution into a systemic force, their absolute triumph over human intuition, and finally, the ethical future of our markets. We will examine the forces that replaced human floor traders with silicon bots, analyzing the technical architecture that redefined the concept of a trade. We begin with the prologue, the light pool. Prologue, the light pool. Before the shadows, there was a vision of light and absolute transparency. In the 1980s, the New York Stock Exchange was a physical arena where human specialists matched buyers and sellers through shouting and hand signals. While flawed and loud, it was a system that human minds could participate in, regulate, and understand. Every trade was visible, every participant was known. Josh Levine, an idealistic programming genius, believed technology could democratize this market. He viewed the floor specialists as biased gatekeepers who gave institutional giants an unfair advantage. He dreamed of an electronic agora where every investor, regardless of size, could trade on equal terms. His vision was pure: a light pool where fairness was built into the very source code of the market. His creation, the Island ECN, offered rapid execution and visible order data. Island aimed to level the playing field, but as Scott Patterson notes, the very technology built to save the market would eventually be used to hijack it. This was the first shot in the Silicon War that would redefine global finance for decades to come, moving us from the light into the darkening era of the machines. Part 1: Machines versus Machines. Covering the first 4 chapters, we witnessed the genesis of algorithmic competition and the start of the Silicon Arms race. Chapter 1: Trading Machines documents the initial silicon shock. It details how the first primitive algorithms began to challenge the dominance of human floor traders. The focus was on speed and efficiency, moving the market away from human intuition toward cold mathematical execution. The machine era had arrived, and the specialists were under threat as the first bots claimed their territory. Chapter 2, The Size Game, explores the structural advantages of massive institutional investors. In the old system, moving large block orders without moving the price was an art. Electronic systems promised to automate this process, but they also introduced new ways for the big players to scale their influence, using early algorithmic slicing and dicing to hide their massive footprints. Chapter 3 introduces the Algo Wars. As more firms adopted electronic trading, they didn't just compete for orders, they competed to outsmart one another's code. This was the start of a relentless Silicon Arms race, where math whizzes built bots to detect and exploit the moves of competing systems in a microsecond scale battle for survival. The machines were now fighting each other. Chapter 4, O+, details the development of catalytic platforms and advanced order types. These innovations added a layer of complexity and opacity, allowing for sophisticated trading instructions that human specialists could no longer follow. The machines were operating in a realm beyond oversight, driven by code that few human stewards truly understood. The primary takeaway from Part 1 is the irreversible shift from human intuition to algorithmic execution. Speed had become the ultimate weapon, and the traditional floor specialists were becoming obsolete relics of a slower age. The transparency of the light pool was beginning to fade. Part 2, Birth of the Machine. Spanning chapters 5 through 17, we trace the rise of high-frequency trading and the creation of the dark pools. The era of microsecond dominance had begun. Chapter 5, Bandits, exposes the darker side of early algorithmic trading. Aggressive firms began utilizing new technologies to exploit systemic weaknesses and latency gaps. They acted as digital bandits, siphoning massive profits from slower market participants who were still tethered to traditional speeds. The market was becoming a predatory ecosystem where speed was the only defense. Chapter 6 introduces the Watcher. This automated system designed by Levine was an attempt to bring order to the chaos. It tracked portfolios and monitored the complex activities of early trading bots, serving as a precursor to modern compliance technology. However, the speed of innovation consistently outpaced the speed of monitoring. Chapters 7 and 8 detail the monster key breakthrough. This unlocked unprecedented execution speeds, cementing Island's status as a central hyperfast venue. The shift toward machine speed execution over human judgment was now absolute. The gates of high-frequency trading were wide open to the global financial elite. Chapter 9 introduces the Green Machine. Highly specialized, profoundly efficient trading algorithms began to dominate daily volume. These machines were ruthlessly effective, extracting tiny profits on millions of trades with a level of precision no human could match. Profit was no longer about fundamental value, but about technical extraction. Chapter 10 explores Archipelago, created by Jerry Putnam. Archipelago fundamentally changed the game by routing orders across multiple trading pools. This fragmented the market further, creating a chain of islands that only the fastest algorithms could navigate. Connectivity was the new prerequisite for survival in the digital ocean of the stock market. Chapters 11 and 12 describe the Palace coup. Wall Street giants initiated a massive power shift, acquiring independent electronic platforms and co-opting their technology. The dream of transparency was being replaced by institutional dominance and the pursuit of exclusive speed advantages. The revolution had been captured by the very elite it sought to bypass. Chapters 13 and 14 examine the plight of dumb money. Ordinary retail investors were systematically disadvantaged by high-speed HFT algorithms. The complexity of the new structure meant that the typical investor was often the last to know when prices were moving, effectively subsidizing the massive profits of the bots. Chapter 15 focuses on trade bots. These artificially intelligent systems were designed to analyze news, order flow, and market depth in microseconds. They removed human intuition from the immediate trading loop, creating a market where the math whizzes and their code were the new stewards of capital. The human element was becoming a legacy system in its own creation. Chapters 16 and 17, Crazy Numbers and Regulators on the Run, highlight the absolute failure of oversight. The SEC and other bodies struggled to comprehend the mechanics of HFT. Regulation remained reactive, intervening only after systemic failures had occurred. The law was simply too slow for the relentless speed of silicon. The market was now a lawless digital frontier. Part 2 concludes with the realization that the market had become a ticking time bomb of complexity. The systemic vulnerabilities were inherent results of a fragmented, high-speed architecture. We were moving into an era of extreme risk and zero transparency. Part 3. Triumph of the Machine. Covering chapters 18 through 21, we witness the absolute dominance of the algorithm and the market's descent into instability. Chapter 18 covers the May 6, 2010 flash crash. In minutes, nearly $1 trillion in market value evaporated and reappeared. It was a terrifying demonstration of systemic instability caused by autonomous algorithms entering rogue feedback loops without human control. The machines had gone rogue and the market broke under the weight of its own complexity. Chapter 19, Aftershocks, details the scramble for answers. The event proved that human intervention was impossible at the speeds the market now operated. Regulators were left searching for safeguards in a system that had become too complex for its own architects to manage. Public trust was the ultimate casualty of the Silicon crash. The machines were no longer predictable. Chapter 20 analyzes the future of speed. Firms continued to spend billions to shave off milliseconds, constructing microwave towers and drilling straight-line fiber optic cables through mountains. The physics of the speed of light became the defining constraint of competition. It was an expensive, needless mess that yielded zero societal value, yet became the standard for survival. Chapter 21, The Darkening, focuses on the proliferation of dark pools. These private venues, originally meant to protect institutional orders, became breeding grounds for predatory HFT tactics. The market was becoming increasingly opaque, with 40% of volume moving into these secretive subterranean environments, hidden far away from the light of public transparency. The triumph of the machine was complete. The market had become an autonomous intelligence, an entity that operated with a logic and priority that was increasingly alien to human stewards. Complexity was now the defining feature of the financial system. Part 4, Future of the Machine. We conclude with chapters 22 through 25, examining the ethical and systemic reckoning facing our financial system. Chapter 22 explores the human element. We contemplate the erasure of human judgment. The average holding period for a stock collapsed to 22 seconds. The market transformed from a mechanism for long-term investment into a hyper-fast casino for autonomous algorithmic arbitrage. Human stewards had been replaced by high-speed code that knew no ethics, only execution. Chapter 23 dissects the illusion of liquidity. As Eric Hunsader noted, the massive volume generated by HFT is largely a digital mirage. Orders are placed and cancelled in microseconds, vanishing the moment true demand appears. At its core, this system is built on pure manipulation and a dangerous lack of genuine depth. The market has become a house of mirrors. Chapter 24, What Can Be Done, offers a strategic blueprint for reform. Experts recommend structural changes, implementing a minimum quote life to slow down the bots and enforcing stricter transparency rules. The goal is to restore stability and reclaim the market from the machines by introducing necessary friction. We must choose stability over speed to protect the global economy. Chapter 25 addresses the ultimate ethical quandary. We must question if a financial system dominated by secretive algorithms truly serves the broader economy. Restoring a level playing field is the defining financial challenge of our century. The story of dark pools is a call to action for a fairer, more human-centric future. We must reclaim our agency in the markets we built. The way forward is a choice. We can continue to serve the Silicon elite, or we can choose to restore fairness and stability to our markets. The investigation of dark pools is our guide to making that choice. Fairness requires transparency and a human-centric approach. Dark Pools is more than a book. It is a vital investigation of our era and a strategic briefing for any serious observer of global finance. Thank you for joining this exhaustive 12-minute investigation into the rise of the machine traders. The transformation of our markets is absolute, and our understanding of it is the first step toward reclaiming it. This is the way forward. Briefing concluded.